Howdy folks, and welcome back to my video series on getting a new player who is just starting out a new level 60 character into the game and rolling with your full moveset. So instead of going through the entire tutorial, you're skipping that, getting all your moves and placing them where you want. So for this character, I went ahead and just took those steps, already changed my HUD, bound my keys, and moved everything around. So we're just going to talk what's in place. If you've already seen my Jedi Guardian series, it's pretty much the same setup. Jedi Guardians and Sith Juggernauts come in basically the same spec. And just like I talked about in my Gunslinger and Sniper videos, you're doing the same thing on Imperial side that you're doing on the Republic side. They just give everything a different name. They also give some things some different animations, but they do the same stuff at the end of the day. So just so you know, it's the same class. So if you do end up really loving something and saying like, God, I just had such a good time playing a Vigilance Guardian, well then you come over here and you'll be a Vengence Jug and you'll know exactly how to play that character. All you have to do is figure out what move it is that you see in front of you, and then basically putting that in the right spot on the hotbar. Okay, so let's talk turkey here for a sec. Okay, so first up, I had to make a quick switch on my hotbar. I had something in the wrong place. Anyway, let's talk about this. So Sundering Strike is the first, or Sundering Assault. It's a Rage builder, okay? It's something that we talked about before. The Rage builders in Guardian and the Rage builders in Juggernaut are pretty much the same. That is Sundering Assault, Saber Throw, and Force Charge. Okay, if you do those right, you're not ever really going to need Assault or Vicious Slash pretty much at all. The great thing about Vigilance and Vengeance is that basically if you'll never really run out of Rage. If you're doing it right, you never really have to worry about Rage being a problem. Okay, so I mentioned that now because if you're completely Rage starved all the time, you're probably doing something wrong, and that's a good sign of how. I'm not going to go over rotations here. I'll leave that to the experts. There's a lot of guys who have videos out there on how to parse and how to do these things. I highly recommend Delphi.net as a resource, but I will show you what you should be having on your hotbar, and it will get you a basic idea of where to get started. So, we talked about Sundering Assault. Next up is Impale. This is one of the cornerstones of this entire rotation. Putting that out on a bad guy means more damage from all your other moves, so I do put that nice and early. Then we have Shatter, which is the Imperial side of, what's it called over there? Plasma Brand, something like that. Anyway, it's a damage over time, and it's the one that's going to reset the cooldown on Ravage, okay? Ravage being the blade dance of this side. Alright, next up I got Force Scream. Force Scream is going to proc based on your moveset. Hits nice and hard, it can be used on the move. It's very nice. Next up I got Vengeful Slam. Alright, and don't forget, Vengeful Slam is just like, what do they call it over there? This is what happens when you start switching back and forth. Vigilant Strike on, Guardian side, which is all the dots that you have going on your bad guys, which come from Shatter and Force Scream, can be spread by Vengeful Slam. So if you're fighting a big group of bad guys and they have a pretty decent sized health pool, get those dots out, hit Vengeful Slam, and pow, everybody in that range just caught those same dots. Alright, next up is Vicious Throw. This is an execute move, and just like we talked about with the Jedi Guardian, depending on your rotation, that move will be available right away to use, right at the start of the battle, regardless of health. Also, there's a talent you can put into here, Seething Hatred, and whoop, nope, that's the one for exiting cooldowns. Here you go. Warbringer, sorry. Warbringer, Force Charge enables your next Vicious Throw to be used against a target with any percentage of health. It's already selected for you. The one right next to it, though, is one I would highly recommend taking and resetting around a few of these. You can live without the Enrage defense cooldown for a little while in favor of Seething Hatred if you feel like you're getting the hang of the flow of things and you want to just go from battle to battle. The Enrage defense utility is actually a good one. Enrage defense is actually one of my favorite cooldowns, but more on that in a sec. Alright, so 7 I keep open. You can put anything you want there. This is just, I usually will have something like an Adrenal or a Grenade or something there in that place. For right now, I leave that open. That way you can decide like what you want there for right now. I'm just showing you what I do have and do recommend having be there. You can put whatever you want there. You can put a defensive, you can put your taunt. I don't know why, but you could. It's up to you. Anyway, next up I got Force Choke. This is a stun. Also gives you some rage back. It's not a perfect stun. Some guys can shake out of this. But if they're weak and they're casting, it can also work as a little bit of a pocket interrupt. Not too bad. Force Push, that's your kinetic knockback, and unlike the Jedi Sage and the Commando, where they have it either go in a conal AoE in front of them, or a 360-degree circle around them, or like Cover Pulse, same thing, this guy only affects one target, but he doesn't necessarily have to be in front of you. If you have him targeted over here by the side, and you hit Force Push, he's still going to go. Okay, so just kind of be aware that that's the advantage to that, but also the disadvantage is you're only hitting one target. But it's good enough to have out there, and there's some single target guys out there, especially in this expansion where people rocket pack in a lot of times, and there's a lot of ledges. You might find a guy who's rocketing in, before he even lands, you can target him with that, and send him right back over the edge he came from, and he's instantly dead. So, pretty handy. Next up on the hotbar is Saber Ward. Saber Ward is a great, oh crap! I don't know what kind of damage I'm taking, but it's a lot. Defensive cooldown, okay? 50% from less ranged and melee damage, and 25% of the damage from force and tech attacks. Lasts for 12 whole seconds. That's actually a pretty long time in a fight. So use it sparingly. It's on a long cooldown, but it's very good for when you do need it. You have Unleash at the end. That's just your CC breakers. So if some guys who stunned or slowed, or held statically in position, force choked, any of those things, Unleash will break you out of it. Next up I have Disruption. That's my interrupt. I always have it in the same spot. That just keeps it easy for me, so I always know where my interrupts are. Over here I've got Ravage. Pretty self-explanatory. It's one of your biggest damage dealers, by the way, guys. It's doing almost 10k damage over 3 seconds. You're going to want to use that as a core part of your rotation. And like I said, just like over on Guardian, if you use Shatter, that is going to reset the cooldown of Ravage. So you're going to want to use Ravage, then Shatter, then Ravage, if you can. Unless you're trying to dot spread, that's a little bit different. But overall, just know that those two things work in conjunction to each other and can do the majority of the damage you're pumping out. Next up, Enrage Defense. Love it. I have nothing bad to say about Enrage Defense. One of the best cooldowns in the game, in my opinion. Once you drop below... oh, wow. 70%. I'm sorry, I've been saying 60 this whole time. If you drop below 70%, you can pop this, and it'll give you a few stacks of charges, so that when you get hit, your health actually shoots back up. It's very handy, especially if you like chain pulling and going fast from encounter to encounter. Also, if you're ever just in a big amount of trouble, that is also a way to get back up almost all the way to full health. It's a great move. Saber Reflects, same thing, awesome move. All damage that's coming into you gets redirected and reflected for 3 seconds. You can even take a utility in your utility tree to go ahead and make that even last a little longer. I'd have to find which one it is, but it just basically adds another 2 seconds to it. Next up is Force Charge and Saber Throw. We already talked about those. Those are rage builders. Next up I've got Intercede. Intercede is just like Guardian Leap. Okay, jumps over to a friendly target, drops a little of their threat. I kind of use it more for locomotion than anything. I just like it. What can I say? It also helps with companions if they're taking a little too much damage. But you may not use it a whole lot, but I like having it there, especially when I switch over to tank spec. It's just there and ready to go. Channel Hatred. Just building back your health and energy. It's handy. I have that hotkey to a mouse button. It's nice. You can have that one to the side. I don't know, but you definitely want it around somewhere. Endure Pain. This is the Imperial side of Endure. If you look when I click this, my health goes up a few thousand points. What that's doing is it's basically giving me kind of a faux heal. We talked a little bit about it on pub side. That plus Enrage Defense at the same time can boost your overall health pool and refill it all the way up for a few seconds. Kind of giving you enough time to turn the tide of a battle if you're in a pinch. It's not the best cooldown you've got. I prefer mitigation over just giving more hit points out them for them to take. But just remember, when the effect ends, your health goes back to the normal, amount that I had. So bear with it. Enrage just generates 6 rage. You'll almost never need it. For the other specs, though, it can kind of come in important. And I believe you can spec into it to being a CC breaker, so that might even be worth putting right there on one of the major hotbars. It's up to you. Intimidating Roar is your stun. It's just kind of like Flashbang or anything like that. You push that out, and enemies will just be stuck for about 6 seconds. Any damage they take, though, and they break out of it. So if you've been spreading any dots around, and they're already dotted up, might as well just skip it and just go straight for the kill, because if they already have some dot damage on it, they'll break out right away. Chilling Scream is basically a PvP move. I don't use it. Put it by these guys. These guys, it's your basic strike. Vicious Slash is just a normal, strike that uses up some rage. Not really using the spec. And Retaliation, it has some potential. It will automatically proc off a few things, but I hardly ever use it. There might be some guy out there who says, like, you should be using it all the time. I don't know. I can tell you, as offensive DPS, if I'm not taking lots of hits, it doesn't pop up very much and doesn't do a lot of damage. For the same amount of rage, you should be using one of your core rotation moves. Over here, I have Taunt and Mega Taunt. These are the two taunting moves. The only time I'll ever use these, really, is if I want to jump into a crowd, taunt the group, and then pop Saber Reflects. I usually only do that soloing. Please, God, don't do that in a raid unless told to do so. And if you do that in a raid, don't tell him I'm the one who told you to do it. Just leaving it at that. And then over here I've got my buffs and my stances, and just know that you work in the same form, Xian form. That's about it, guys. So that is the core of what you're going to do. When you see your first bad guy, you're basically saber throwing, then force sleeping in, generates a ton of rage, usually either popping Impale, which puts a damage buff out there so that your next few moves hit even harder, Ravage, Shatter, Ravage, Force Scream, Vengeful Slam, Vicious Throw if it's in there and you feel like it's ready to go. A lot of these things are situational. Those are the moves. The way the rotation works may change. I just noticed that usually for the chapters, I'm dealing with a lot of weak ads, so I usually put Vengeful Slam up a little higher. Usually, probably, situational. Sometimes I'll even put it out right away because they'll just die from it. But as enemies get tougher and stronger, you want to make sure that you're putting things out in the right order, so definitely check out some guides. But yeah, that's it. Those are the moves you want to have available. Anything after that is purely optional. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you like what I do here, go ahead and like this page and subscribe to my channel. Also, if you're not even in the game and you just stumbled on this by accident, use that new friend referral link I put in there. Join us in the game, try it out for a few days, see if you like it. There's no commitment to buy, but just do it. Have some fun. Be a Jedi or a Sith, or be evil, be good. But try it out, man. It's a ton of fun. I've been here since the beta, and I love this game to death. So anyway, I hope this helped, and I will see you guys next time.